The Zacks rank, value, momentum, growth, and income all factor into Zacks rank buys.
Time to hear about a couple of more growth and income stocks now from the editor of our Income Investor Service, Ryan McQueenie. He's right here with me. You've got a couple of, I would say, big names in their industry, KLA-Tencor being one of them.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll start there. For those who don't know, KLA-Tencor is a semiconductor equipment supplier. As you mentioned, one of just a handful of really big names in that kind of weird subsector of a subsector.
Right.
It specifically makes these process control and yield management products. It's the top dog with what it specifically does. And in terms of kind of that greater equipment market, think other companies like Applied Materials are going to be names you'd compare this with. I had wanted to talk about it yesterday. I had come up with the idea of talking about it, and then I came in this morning, and there's a much different story to talk about related to this stock. So we'll start there.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting story, and it's one we got to talk about, and you know, we got to address it. So let's do that. As we can see here, this is the one-day chart on KLA-Tencor. Huge gap down this morning, and that has to do with comments that the company made at Citi's Global Technology Conference that's happening this week. It's putting a lot of pressure actually on the entire chip-making space.
Okay.
The last time I checked, they were actually still speaking. It might have just wrapped up. So we'll see exactly what investors didn't like about the presentation as the day goes on. I think that the general hesitation with some of these suppliers is concerns that you know, certain cyclical pricing things are going to roll over. Overall, this strong chip bull run is just going to finally run out of steam, as we've kind of seen some hints at over the last couple of months. This is interesting because any sort of cautious outlook from the company comes in direct contrast to what we've seen from analysts lately. This is something we've seen positive estimate revisions from. So I want to take a look at the estimate revision outlook here.
Okay.
Within the last 60 days, 7 positive revisions to its full year consensus estimate. That's actually had a significant effect on the Zacks consensus estimate, as you can see. And in terms of future outlook, we've even seen 2 positive revisions through its fiscal year heading into 2020. So if the company is getting a little bit hesitant on its own outlook, that might have an effect, obviously, on estimate revisions here over the next couple of weeks. But it's definitely an interesting trend to note because the analysts had not seen that yet, based off of what we saw from the previous positive revisions. Now, I will say, you know, growth and income stock, it's got like a 2.5% yield right now, and still definitely an earnings growth story here. We're looking for 16% bottom line growth in the current fiscal year. That's going to keep going to the tune of another 5.5%. So it still seems like there's some sort of growth story here, and the potential for continued bottom line and top line expansion. But I think you saw whatever the specific comments that frustrated Wall Street today or made Wall Street a little bit scared. You know, you're seeing them have an effect on the broader chip space. And it's interesting. I think the Zacks rank is a powerful indicator. Sometimes we're not able to foresee what a company executive A might say on stage at a bank's investing conference. So.
Right. Well, when the company throws a curveball to the market like that, I mean, sometimes market takes a while to react to it.
Yeah, exactly. And so we see this headline volatility right off the bat. I would say always with these types of things, let's wait it out a little bit to see what the actual genuine reaction is over the next few trading periods. But definitely a stock you're going to want to watch, and then keep your eye on the broader chip space now.
All right, and today is September the 6th here as we talk about this, just for people who are putting the days in perspective. This other company here, I don't think much has changed lately. They are now in the $1 trillion club.
Yes, sir. Yes, that is Apple. So I wanted to look at Apple today because it's a Zacks ranked #2 buy right now. It's not often we see a company of this size get into our buy ranking positions. These are followed by a lot of analysts, so sometimes it's just tough for these stocks to get the number of positive revisions necessary to pop up as a #2 or a #1. So anytime Apple's a #2 or #1, I'm perked up and I want to see what's going on. The story for me for Apple is the growth. It's a dividend-paying stock. Last time I checked, the yield was about like 1.3, 1.4%. So it's there, and people will like that. A lot of buy and hold type of investors with Apple, of course. But to me, the story right now is the growth and the amount of growth happening for where the company is in its life cycle. We're looking at current estimates here. We're looking for full-year sales growth to touch 15%. Full-year earnings growth to touch almost 27%. And to me, for where Apple is, that's surprising. So I think about what is causing that growth. And that's where you mentioned not much has changed. That's where I'd actually kind of push back a little bit.
Well, since they joined the club.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
I should have qualified that.
Sure. So I think it's actually we're seeing a slow change to the story here with Apple. We've always said, are they too reliant on the iPhone? I don't think we've necessarily seen much fluctuation in terms of the amount of revenue, the percentage of revenue that the iPhone segment is bringing in. But I think we've definitely seen the evolution of the company's broader iPhone-based ecosystem, as I like to call it. And now we have these annual updates to the iPhone. We'll probably hear about another one within the next couple weeks. They typically have an early September event. And then they get you hooked in on the iPhone. People are now paying higher prices for them, so that's a good sign for revenue growth. But then they're also, the iPhone is then at the center of what is now a very diverse ecosystem of other products and services that are entrenched in people's lives. So the Apple Watch, we don't know a ton of specifics on how well it's done. It's definitely the biggest wearable tech product in the world. Apple Music obviously works much better when you have an iPhone. That's part of the explosive growth of the services segment of the company, which has been a huge growth catalyst over the last year or so. Apple Pay, a number of other things really within this ecosystem, as I've called it, and that's the story for me for Apple right now, and it's really impressive to watch the company after a couple of years of will they, won't they figure it out. I think they've really figured it out.
So I've asked this question before. I'll ask it again now that they are in the $1 trillion club. Do you see the company being ripe for a split here?
I don't know. I don't really know. I think that I don't want to give it one answer, yes or no, because it'll do the exact opposite of what I say.
Yeah, it's not an easy question to answer.
It's possible. I think when we talk about splits, we're talking about something that's to generate interest again. The people have lost interest in the stock for one reason or another, and I don't think that is the case right now. It's still accessible for retail investors, in my opinion, and so I don't think it's necessarily necessary. But it's happened in the past, so we'll see.
All right. Well, I know if anybody will, you will be keeping your eye on what goes on with both of these companies. Do you own either one?
I do not. We have KLA-Tencor in the income investor portfolio right now.
Okay. Well, thanks for all of that information. Don't forget, there's more stock information on our website, Zacks.com. Go there to the homepage and start looking through it. It's up there 24/7. And don't forget that you can always access Ryan's live streaming video program Monday through Thursday. It's called Free Lunch, and it's available on most streaming video platforms. Also, don't forget on the podcast page of Zacks.com, Tech Talk Tuesdays. Say that 5 times if you want without messing up. And that's hosted by Ryan as well. With Ryan, I'm Terry Ruffalo.